How I know astrology is real and suppressed by the powers that be. The astrological ages change every 2,000 years because our planet, relative to those constellations, crosses a precession every 2,000 years into a new sign. Our whole calendar is based on the age of Pisces, which is started in the year 1, coincidentally, when a fisher of men who produced loaves and fishes, who walked on water, who was a spiritual martyr, as Pisces rules spirituality, with 12 followers, just as there are 12 zodiac signs, died for your sins or whatever. The next stage would be Aquarius, which rules technology, humanitarianism, groups, antitheism, revolutions, the intellect, and space travel. Coincidentally, of course, 2,000 years, or the length of an age, since the Pisces guy, there was an incident in America that may or may not have been a Freemasonic ritual initiating the New Age, which, by the way, would not be a millennium for Muslims, who have a different calendar entirely. The great irony is that anachronistic and theologically challenged American Christians use Christianity as a reason to refute and ban astrology, despite perhaps their entire religion being based upon a version of it proliferated by the Roman Empire, which is ironically similar to the fact that they use patriotism and belief in Jesus to justify mass slaughter of Iraqis and Afghans, because allegedly 17 Saudis and some Yemenites attacked their Christian homeland. It's always been that way. Christians are idiots and rubes and are just shills for Freemasonic power grabs. This is a Freemasonic apron, which has the mythological character Ganymede, representative of the sign of Aquarius, atop it. Freemasons obviously know about astrology as it is featured in all of their artwork. 14 people, including unelected war demagogue George W. Bush and CIA director and Bohemian Grove mock child sacrificer George H.W. Bush, have been Freemasons and presidents, yet none have ever come out and said, hey guys, astrology is true, and secretly make decisions based upon it. However, high ranking Masons such as 33rd degree Manly P. Hall wrote extensively about it, but of course you'd have to read books to assess that, so most Christians have no idea. The astrological sign of Virgo in the month of September are archaically held in high regard by Freemasons since the beginning of America. The Pentagon, for instance, was broken ground upon September 11th, 1941. Incidentally, here's a symbol for a legendary Mason, Tubal Cain, and here's the Facebook logo, and here's a modern Masonic apron, and here's the Gmail logo. I'm just a conspiracy theorist, though, don't mind me. I'm sure Jesus is coming for your special soul to bring you home to Grandma's rocking chair, or whatever bullshit you believe and impose upon others. This is a Libra, and this is a Libra, and this is a Libra. Are you kind and sweet and social and have a dimple in your chin and want the best for everyone? Are you romantic, lovelorn, passionate, love music, and being a special princess? You may have been born in late September to late October, a Libra. This is a Scorpio, and this is a Scorpio, and this is a Scorpio. Do you have auburn to brown hair? Are you intense, cagey, and emotional with tattoos, emphasize sex and death in your life, and embroiled in psychic connections with people? You may be a Scorpio. This is a Gemini, and this is a Gemini, and this is a Gemini. Are you high energy, quick witted, a phenom with some obtuse skill set, communicative, thin and colorful like a tropical fish? You may be a Gemini. This is a Cancer, and this is a Cancer, and this is a Cancer. Are you moody, gothy, put an emphasis on women's rights and motherhood, dressed like a witch with purples and blacks, have raven colored hair and an on again, off again relationship with pharmaceuticals while you're critical of the patriarchy? You may be a Cancer. You're not just your sun sign, you have a moon, Mars, and Venus too. James Hetfield is a Leo with a Capricorn moon sign. Ozzy Osbourne is a Sagittarius with a Capricorn moon sign. Mike Patton is an Aquarius with a Capricorn moon sign. Marilyn Manson is a Capricorn. Rob Zombie is a Capricorn. Lars Ulrich is a Capricorn. Lemmy was a Capricorn. Chris Barnes is a Capricorn, and so was Dead. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is where we get the name Satan. Capricorn since antiquity is associated with the devil, as is the flat fifth interval in music. That is the bedrock of 99% of heavy metal and hard rock music, such as the interval of E to B flat, which constitutes not only most of Metallica and Black Sabbath's catalog, but also the song Black Sabbath itself. Is that all a coincidence? Hitler had a Capricorn moon also. Capitol Hill existed first in Rome. It was Capitoline Hill, which was formerly called Mons Saturnus, the mountain of Saturn. Saturn is associated with a black square because that's what it looks like through early telescopes, a black square. That's why you wear a black square on your head when you graduate. It's a pact with Saturn. That's why judges wear black robes also. The word money comes from the temple of Monesha, a Virgo goddess in Rome, the place where they minted coins. Because Virgo, an earth sign, rules financial security. That's why Rome lasted 3,000 years and America is already ending. There are four suits of tarot, just as there are four elements in astrology: air, fire, water, and earth. They represent the same things. The suit of coins is earth, as in Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Warren Buffett are earth signs. Saturn is associated with the number 8, and so life path 8s like Bill Gates make a lot of money in this life. If you believe in God, do you not think this has something to do with God's plan? Why oppress it then? I did not set out to be an astrologer when I was 14 years old. I thought it was stupid and fake, like you probably do, but then I learned it. It says in my own astrological chart, in a position called the midheaven, which rules career, that I would be a good astrologer. But of course, that's fake, right? It also says because of the position of my Jupiter that my dad would leave my life at a young age because of a scandal. That happened, but of course, that's also a coincidence. James Hetfield is a Leo, but so is the guy who played the Cowardly Lion, and so is Hulk Hogan, and so is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and so is Chris Hemsworth. There's a lot of famous Leos because Leo rules fame and movies and ego. Do you have a goatee? Are you ripped and like cars and fuel and fire and that what you desire? Yeah, you may be a Leo. The sign of Aquarius is about radical change and anti Christian revolutionary humanitarianism. Hence, people born with Aquarius in the sun or moon are revolutionaries, including Angela Davis, John Lennon, Timothy Leary, Jerry Rubin, Johnny Rotten, Muhammad Ali, Michelle Foucault, and Charles Manson, to name a few. Also, Nick Stanifer. Evangeline Adams was an astrologer who was tried as a fortune teller, which was illegal in New York due to Christian laws. Adams was arrested 3 times in New York City for fortune telling in 1911, 1914, and 1923. Although practicing astrology was not legal at that time, all the cases brought against her were unsuccessful because she proved astrology to be true in court. Her May 1914 trial was particularly notable due to the judge's acquittal of all wrongdoing by Adams and praise of her skill after she gave an astrology reading describing the character of his son from his birth data, proving that he was likely to drown. The judge's son did drown, though Miss Adams was not given this information. Miss Adams was given no names or associations, just a raw chart. People like to deride astrology by saying the planets have moved since antiquity in the sky, and thus the signs don't line up anymore. There's actually a whole branch of astrology that focuses on this called sidereal astrology, but no one mentions that. Politicians find very useful and convenient your ideation of Christianity and use it to compel you that Jesus is on their side or something. They mass murder people in wars, advocate for such unchristian policies as late term abortion and the death penalty, and Jesus never comes back. Not after 9/11 or after the Holocaust, because Jesus as you know it is a fantasy, alike to Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy, a bedtime story for the colonized mind that believes itself to be compassionate or that there's some sense making in the cruel and wicked world. Astrology is real, Jesus is not. Jesus is a myth from the Roman Empire to unite everyone under one morality for the sake of power. The guy that oversaw the King James Bible creation, King James, was a Freemason, same as your leaders are today Freemasons. Not Christians and never were Christians. Astrology, on the other hand, has been acknowledged as a legitimate system in almost every civilization across the globe, from Aztecs to Romans, until Christianity became the central colonizing force the world over to keep you stupid. Vedic or Indian astrology has a position called the Darakaraka. This planetary placement shows the likely spouse of a person. I have used it to 90% accuracy when reading charts. Why does Vedic astrology have such a painless, easy means of understanding who your spouse will be, while our system has 1 million industries around partnership and marriage, but no explanation, guarantee, or rite of passage per se in finding that spouse, and then a 50% divorce rate? Because our society is spiritually dead, and most awakened spiritual societies include and understand astrology. The powers that be, usually Freemasons, do not want you to know about your divine nature because it would interfere with their ability to make you a slave to capitalism, to war, to dogma. Astrology shows you your true divine nature and thus it must be marginalized. Anyone who truly wants you to self actualize would never hide such vital information that is now so easily accessible and yet most people still lag in understanding about. They don't want you to know. They want you to watch CNN and work and be taxed and argue about guns or COVID, then die. Exactly the same as the Roman Empire. The Jesus myth is very astrological. He was spotted because of the Star of Bethlehem, which was an astrological conjunction in the sky by three magi, not wise men, and magi means astrologer. In the year 7 BC, Jupiter and Saturn had three conjunctions in the same constellation, Pisces. The Magi were able to predict that a new king of the Jews would be born because of the conjunction of Jupiter, the kingly planet of benevolent leaders, and Saturn, the planet of power and leadership, both in Pisces, which was the forthcoming age. Jesus is not now, nor was it ever meant to be, a moral ruler in the sky who likes good actions and stops bad guys. It's a symbol for the age of Pisces and nothing more. Yet American conservatives bend and shape that reality without astrological knowledge to defend aggressive capitalism, wars, and murders, exactly alike to how the Roman Empire did in the very time of Jesus. There's no difference. Imagine living in a society without a concept of numbers. How much chaos would ensue, and how much time and energy could be saved if they just acknowledged that 2 plus 2 equals 4? Yet imagine that most people thought numbers were an archaic fantasy, and you will have an adequate representation of how astrology hating looks to astrologers. In reality, understanding the age of Pisces will help you understand what Christianity really is. Jesus was not popular, famous, wealthy, liked, understood, or recognized as the Messiah in the Roman Empire. In fact, he was killed for spreading a spiritual message. But of course, America would never do that. We're totally different than the Romans, who indulged in corruption, pedophilia, incest, wealth gouging, and inflation, debt, slavery, war, overreach, nominal bonds, creating a class based just on wealth. All stuff our free and fair republic would never do. Similarly, understanding the age of Aquarius will help you understand what will be for the next 2,000 years, because that is where we are now in its dawning.